Good morning and welcome. My name's John, this is my channel, and thought I'd do just a couple quick clips. I'm not in my normal surroundings. It's going to be super hot. I'm in Twin Falls, Idaho. We left out of Boise this morning. So let's back up. My wife, Dana, who you may or may not have seen on my channel intermittently, travels for work a lot. And so I decided to burn some time at work, and as a result, I get to travel with her. It's just a quick road trip. We left yesterday morning our house on Mount Hood and drove about 6.5 hours to beautiful Nampa, Idaho, where she had some business meetings, that sort of thing to conduct. But when I go with her on these trips, I pretty much just act as a handyman for her, fix a few things, because she has some retail locations around. But the side benefit is I get free trips. So it's super cool. And right now let's back up to yesterday. So yesterday we drove down I-84. My usual way to get to Idaho, frankly, because I live 2 miles from Highway 26, is to take 26 east through, I guess Madras and Prineville, and continue east out toward Napa. I think it's Napa. Anyway, there's a little town, Ontario, Oregon, and then hit I-84 there. It's very picturesque if you've ever been out that way. The views are kind of spectacular. It's a much smaller, less frequented highway, but it's slower. And so what we did is we drove east on 26 over Mount Hood, then we dropped into Hood River, in the Columbia River Gorge. If you get out of the Portland metro area, you basically can't drive through Oregon and have spectacular views. I mean, it's just impossible. You're going to see some sort of point of interest or cool thing. So anyway, we grabbed I-84, which is your typical 4 or 6 lane highway, depending on where you're at, east through Hood River. That's where we hit it from Highway 35. Then we went to the Dalles, through the Dalles, Pendleton, Ontario, ultimately winding up at Nampa. My wife had a couple hour business meeting, so I had a little time to kill, and I believe the name of the place I went, and I took some pictures of it, is Warhawks Aviation Museum. Being a nerd, I like stuff like that. I like stuff like this too, frankly. So, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I went to the Warhawk Museum. They had a pretty cool late model. I didn't realize it, but if you're a World War II buff at all, going into World War II, the U.S. had kind of 2 main fighters, one of which was a P-40, like the Flying Tigers flew, the American volunteers in China, but they continued to produce that airplane throughout the war. I didn't realize that, but they had a pretty good example of flying condition P-40. Yeah, it's a P-40 Warhawk. And it was restored. I think it flew in 2010 was when it was made flyable, and it's competed in the Reno air races and some other places. And then the other thing they had was an early model P-51, which everybody's familiar with, the P-51D, which is kind of your classic bubble canopy. Well, the earlier, I think the one I saw was a P-51C, which is more of a classic, like a P-40 Warhawk type canopy. A little earlier model. Did most of the same things, but interestingly, in World War II, the Americans were worried about having an aircraft that could perform in Arctic situations, primarily snow-covered runways. And so they actually equipped, and they had skis there for this airplane, where they tested a variety of aircraft with skis to see if, because again, these are fighters, they're supposed to be light and nimble and things like that. The only other real consequential thing on the aircraft museum, they had some old cars. They had a bunch of literature from first-hand accounts, diaries, things like that, of World War II veterans primarily, but a variety of other things, or variety of other time periods as well, which were super. I mean, you could spend. They had hundreds of these they were binders that people had put together with photocopies of diaries, images and photographs of kind of where they were at and what they were up to. And that was super interesting. So I spent probably an hour and a half or 2 hours just leaping through, and most of them were 20, 30 pages, so they weren't too big. So anyway, we wound up in Nampa, got our 2-star Hilton Gardens, whatever, what have you, hotel. No camping out for us on this trip. So we stayed in the hotel last night after having a business dinner with my wife, where I was the +1, which is fine. We then, this morning, got up early, and we're out here in beautiful Twin Falls. And I would not, like, Twin Falls is a dot on the map if you're looking at a map of Idaho. I didn't realize it's for West Coast rural situations, it's a pretty good sized town. I'm here in what is a city park, and it is spectacular. It's probably it's currently about 10:30 in the morning, so it's not hot yet, but it's gonna get hot. And I'm gonna shoot a little bit of photography down here, maybe a little bit of video stuff, but again, hopefully I've talked long enough to throw some other images across my ugly mug, and probably out of focus ugly mug. It's super bright. I'm like hopefully well lit because I am looking into the sun, and it is super bright. That's why I've got my shades on. So like I said, I hope you follow along. I think this will probably be a 1 or 2 video thing. I'm going to throw in, they're again directly behind the camera. Unfortunately, the sun is toward me, and my hope is that I'm exposed properly, because again, this is a manual lens and I can't see the lens. But behind me is an arched bridge that is gorgeous, and I'm going to throw that up here in a little bit. And then there's a waterfall up here to my right, and then a beautiful river view of the Snake River is kind of all around us. We're actually on an inlet, so I'll try to include some Snake River shots and that sort of thing. So as always, I hope you have a good day. I hope you're enjoying the videos, and please keep watching. There'll be other stupid random stuff for you to maybe get some your own inspiration from. But again, I hope you have a good day, and thank you for watching.